Hi everybody, Armored Pants here, and I have another video for you today. And this, I think, is a really important video. I think it's a video you're really going to enjoy, and I think it's a video that's going to make you a better player. So watch this space carefully. Now, what I want to give you here is maybe some context and some background, right? So you know that I have done a few replays recently, mastery games by Josh. A guy plays on the North American server, and he rolls as in-game name Help I'm a Bug. And you know, Josh sends me some replays, and I noticed that he's sending me so many mastery games that I actually can't keep up, right? I mean, he's crunching out 2, 3, 4 mastery games a day sometimes, and all types of different tanks. And I mean, I make one, maximum 2 videos a day, so I can't possibly use all the footage, right? But then we chat to each other, of course, on Messenger, on Facebook, and that as well. So I thought I wanted to talk a bit about his gameplay and about his Blitz story, etc. Right? And it turns out that his story is something similar to mine a little bit, in that he used to be a 50% player, right? So, okay, not bad, but also not great, right? It's just kind of average, right? And that was when he's at 10,000 games, so he has quite a few games under his belt. But then he actually now is up to over 62%, and he's played about 30,000 games. Now, if you look at that percentage win rate between 10,000 and 30,000, it's a 68% win rate to get him to his overall total of 62% now. So that's some change, right? From 50% to 68%. So I asked him, well, what changed for you? Because I'm aware too, I also had a similar journey where I was an awful player in Blitz. And I had a similar journey to become a good player, right? And if I look at my win rate on one of my original accounts, I had to run a 66% win rate to get my average win rate up from, 38% up to 59% on one of the first accounts I ever had, which I don't really use too much anymore. But so sort of very similar journey. So I asked him what, if he had to name 5 things that made a difference, what would they be? So as we're looking at his gameplay here, I'm going to go through those 5 things, and then we'll summarize them at the end. Now, when we look at Josh here rolling in the M41D, and when he's going to get a mastery game on this, on May and Runes, first thing I'm going to say to you is, guys, right? And this is something I say to business people when I'm mentoring them, about leadership. And it's the same for this journey. If you want to become a better player, you want to become a Unicum player, specifically in Blitz, you need to want it. Now, that may seem like a stupid statement. You say, yeah, of course I want to be better. But I mean, wanting it and doing it are 2 different things, right? And what I mean by wanting it is really want it, in that you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to dedicate the time and effort to becoming that. Because not everybody can, which is why not everybody is a Unicum player, which is why not everybody is a leader in business, not everybody's a CEO, right? Luck plays some part, of course, absolutely luck plays a part, right? But the thing is, it's not just about luck, right? There's other things at play too, and we're going to go through those things now. So firstly, guys, you're going to want, and that takes me into my first thing, patience, right? You don't go for being a 58% player to being a 68% average player without being patient, without application, and without dedication. So it's not going to happen overnight, right? And Josh had to play 20,000 games to get to be a 62% player. That's a lot of time and effort, right? Similar to me, I've put in hours and hours, weeks and weeks, years and years into becoming what I hope is a decent player now, right? Now, so first thing, patience, right? Second thing, I asked him, and he said, well, look, when I realized I needed to be a better player, what I started doing was watching videos on YouTube to learn how to play the game properly. And what we mean by videos is not, videos about, this guy's a noob, that guy's a noob, or, oh, this is my favorite tank. That's not going to help you. Who cares what a fucking YouTuber's favorite tank is? That's not going to help you become a better player. No, videos that go into the mechanics, the details of the game, that allow you to really gain knowledge, understanding, tactical awareness, and all the more complicated aspects of the game, which you need to understand if you want to become a better player. So Josh said that he watches me, which is great. Thank you very much for that. And others that he recommended are Meiji, for example, Littlefinger, etc. and this is very similar to my journey. What I did was I started watching Martin Dogger and Bushka, and these guys helped me to understand the game and to become a better player. Right now, Meaty wasn't around at the time because Meaty was starting up his channel just then. I mean, because I entered the first giveaway for Meaty at 1,000 subs, right? So, but obviously now Meaty is something else I would recommend. Littlefinger, Martin Dogger, and of course Bushka, although he's not doing so many videos at the moment. But people who can actually teach you about the game, not just tell you about, oh, this is my favorite tank, this is, the worst tank, this guy's a noob. Look at how brilliant a player I am. Look at this game. This is not going to help you, right? You need to get into nitty gritty, understand the actual specifics, details of the game. So that's the second recommendation. Third thing he said is, and it's related to the first two, is you need to be more situationally aware. So continue watching the mini map, but also watch what happens around you. So if you remember the IS2 video mastery game that we just did, one of the things I said about that was, utilizing the burned out hulk of the other tanks when I was in the Kolobanov situation to make sure that I couldn't get hit, right? Now, those tanks weren't there at the start of the game, obviously. They're there later on in the game, so it's about watching the game as it unfolds. So Josh said that situational awareness about the map, and if you look at this game that he's just played here in the Jade, you can see him relocating, etc. Without that situational awareness, that mastery wouldn't be developed. So that's the third lesson, situational awareness. Fourth one is actually one which I wasn't able to do, but definitely I would recommend it because it makes things a lot easier, and that's platooning. And platooning with good players, but even they don't have to be super Unicum players. They can be good, just decent, solid players, but as long as you know them, trust them, and that you have some team play together. And another recommendation for Josh, which I wholeheartedly agree with, is communication. If you communicate over voice when you're on Discord or Skype or whatever modem you want to use, it gives you a huge advantage because you can talk to each other. And communication is the basis of everything, of every success in life, right? Whether it's personal relationships, work relationships, or in this case, playing a game. If you talk to each other, you have much better command of the map and your gameplay. Now, as I said, that was something I wasn't able to do because of my work schedule, my travel schedule, although I'm not traveling during COVID at the moment. I find it very difficult to platoon. And if you look at any of my accounts, you'll see my platoon rates are 0 or maybe maximum 1%. And that's obviously a disadvantage for me. And if you look at any of the games I put up, I'm always playing on my own. And it's not by choice. I love platooning, particularly with like good friends, and I love platooning with my colleagues like say Roger or Jay Gas, Tom, Angel Eyes, any of these guys. My brother, who's another good blitzer. I love platooning with them, but unfortunately I just don't have the time. But definitely I would wholeheartedly recommend Josh's other recommendation that platoon when you can, and if possible and whenever possible, use some voice communication because it makes it so much easier. And lastly, the fifth tip that I got from Josh, and also one which I would wholeheartedly agree with, is don't rush up to tiers, right? It's not a race to get to tier 10, right? That's the worst mistake you can make. It's like if you start taking tennis lessons and then enter Wimbledon and think you're going to be successful. You're going to get hammered, right? You need to cut your cloth to fit your measure, right? So you need to play to the tier where your skill levels are. Now, that can be different for different players, but generally I wouldn't recommend playing tier 10 until you have maybe 8 to 10,000 battles under your belt, right? And now that may seem like a long way away, but this goes back to the first point about patience. So you need to make sure that you're playing at a level where you can learn. Right? If you're playing at a level above your skills, you're not going to learn, right? Because you're also not going to get game time, right? If you play a game for 7 minutes, right, or on average, let's say 6 minutes each game, you're learning. If you get killed in the first 30, 40 seconds, you're not learning anything, right? And those games that are going up in your game counter are not actually adding to your skill level at all. So it's again, be patient. Also, another tip from Josh related to this fifth tip is don't be afraid to drop down tiers if things aren't going well. So let's say that you believe that you're ready to go into tier 7 and tier 8 heavies, right? but your win rate drops from what was 58% or 60% down to 40-something%. Don't be afraid to admit to yourself, well, actually, maybe I'm not ready. Go back down to tier 5, 6 heavies, practice your skills again, and then come back when you're ready. Or if it's not working for you for light tanks, switch back to heavies, and always have some go-to tanks, right? So some tanks where you're really, really comfortable, where you can get your win rate and your confidence back up. And don't be afraid to drop down to them. There's no shame in that, right? Everybody has off days. Everybody, even the best players in the world, in any sport, Magic Johnson, Tom Brady, Ronan O'Gara, Ronaldo, Messi have off days, right? They miss penalties, they miss shots, whatever, right? Everybody has off days. Everybody goes through periods where their form is not as good. It's the same in any human activity because we are humanly find it difficult to have consistent performance consistently, right? And don't be ashamed to do that. So, guys, I hope these tips are useful and you can take them on board. So, just let's recap, right? First, be patient. This is a marathon; it's not a sprint. Second, watch videos, but educational videos, right? Things that are actually going to help you, right? Not stupid, childish bullshit about what's going on and what might be coming down the road and all that. That's not going to help you, right? Watch stuff which actually is going to help you in the mechanics of the game. And as I said, Martin Dogger, Meadsy, Littlefinger, Bushka, these guys, they know what they're talking about in the game. His Royal Fatness, by the way, another excellent, more recent YouTuber, definitely recommend him. Guys who are really going to get to the nitty gritty of the game and you can learn from, right? Don't waste your time on nonsense videos. Use your time sparingly, treat it as a valuable commodity, and watch videos that are actually educational, help you get better, right? If you want to add me to that list too, I would greatly appreciate it, but it's not necessary. Third, situational awareness. That's key. Fourth, platooning, especially with voice communication if possible. And fifthly, it's remember, don't play above your tier and readiness, and always be prepared to drop down and switch tanks where you can regain your confidence, your skills, and your win rate. So, guys, I hope you found this useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. I hope that these 5 tips or secrets or whatever you want to call them. And by the way, these are not just opinions. These are things that actually are factual. And you can see if you look at Josh's stats that they've worked for him. They worked for me too. So not just, this is not just opinion. This is speaking from my own personal experience and Josh's too. And these are the things that contributed to the journey of becoming better Blitz players. And in Josh's case, a Super Unicum player who's now producing mastery badges quicker than, well, I was going to say something quite rude there. Rabbits produce kids? Well, I don't know, little rabbits. But anyway, guys, I hope you can take this on board. I hope you find it useful. I hope you find it enjoyable. And now I guess all that remains for me to say is, as always, pants off.